Introducing the best-selling Breathe Well Personal Aurora Air Purifier, a cutting-edge air purifier that protects way more than ordinary mask. This ultralight purifier can be perfectly attached to any face mask, especially for KN95, N95, or KF94 face mask. Created with medical-grade HEPA filter or H13 that pass strict SGS filtration efficiency testing standards. This patented advanced Japanese technology filters out about 99% of harmful particles. Designed for maximum protection and long-term use, its battery-powered fans will help you breathe easily and comfortably without compromising your health. Plus, it's wearable anytime, anywhere. Breathe safe, breathe clean, breathe easy with Breathe Well. Hey, Wellnessable fam, it's Mikki Sachiko again, and I am super excited for our conversation for today because we will be talking about a very timely topic, which is obviously sustainability, because our guest for today, she's an eco warrior or an eco angel. She is an American model, activist, and an international beauty pageant title holder who was crowned Miss Earth 2020. She is an athlete and a vegetarian, and she actually also graduated with a degree in political science and a minor in communication arts and professional writing. She is the bomb when it comes to advocating for sustainability and, of course, protecting our environment. So I'm super excited for you guys to hear from this lady, no other than Miss Earth 2020, Lindsey Coffey. Hey, Lindsey.
Well, thank you, Mikki. Thank you so much for that introduction. I appreciate that. Honestly, that's hard to follow. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to this all day. So I'm so excited for our chat.
Awesome. You know, first of all, this interview was made possible because of my friend, our common friend, MJ Ricardo. Thank you, MJ. And he just told me that you came fresh from Miami, was it, or Florida?
Oh, yes, I was in Miami for about 2 weeks. So now I'm in LA. Of course, there's a time zone difference. So now I'm even further behind you guys in Manila. But yeah, I've been kind of moving around a little bit for work in the moment.
Yeah, I'm just wondering that. So how is it now in terms of domestic travel there in the States? Because here it's kind of not that strict.
Yes. Oh, well, that's amazing to hear. So here, though, there are restrictions you still have to abide by. And we are seeing more and more forms that you need to fill out whenever you exit and have entry into another state. So there are guidelines, more extensive guidelines that you do have to follow. But when you're traveling for work, it's a lot easier to travel. So they really try and tell you don't travel if it's just for tourism or not work-related incidences. So whenever you actually have an agenda that you have to accomplish, it's a little bit easier, but you still have to fill out those forms. You have to pay attention to those restrictions and follow those guidelines.
Okay, well, same here. Yeah, we have these forms and we have to do this tests when we travel. But other than that, it's a breeze to travel now compared to last year. So I'm glad that it sounds like a breeze as well, traveling around there. And before we hit the record, Lindsey, we've been talking a bit about, what you do. You're very passionate about, environmental advocacies, and you've been also a vegetarian since you were 8 years old, right?
Yes.
I was like, that was one of the things that I really find amazing. And I wanted to, ask you straight away about that, because I love people who are really finding ways to reduce their carbon footprint. So can you share about your journey from you were an 8-year-old to now 29-year-old woman? How was it like for you? What were the lessons and what were the discoveries that you have had?
So I did do a lot of learning, especially at such a young age. So since before I was 8, I had no idea that animals were meat. So I didn't really know, I didn't put that connection together. So whenever I did find that out, that I loved animals so much, let me just say, but when I found that out, that animals come from, the meat that we're eating, I was completely shocked. And I was like, I swore, I was like, I will never eat another piece of meat again. I love my animals. I love my furry little friends. I am vowing to completely go vegetarian, and that is what I'm going to do my part to basically save all my little friends. So that was kind of like the mindset I had at such a young age. And as I grew, I learned that, yes, as you mentioned, reducing your meat consumption can heavily reduce your carbon footprint. As we know, the meat industry and agriculture really heavily emits a ton of emissions and greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, also contributes to the water crisis. So there are a lot of negative effects that come from meat consumption. And as we're moving forward, there's so many different ways that we can get our protein, we can enjoy the foods that we're eating without actually consuming the meat.
Yes, I like that you highlighted that. And for those who are watching or listening to this, I know we have our personal journeys, right? I think me, myself, I'm not 100% into it, but I try to squeeze it in like a day in a week to be vegetarian. So when people say that they've been vegetarian for such a long time, I'm like, wow, kudos, kudos. Or
When
is
I
it?
hear someone's a vegan, that's when I give them major props, because veganism, I feel, is so hard to accomplish. So when somebody is pure vegan, I'm just like, I idolize them. I congratulate them like beyond, because that's difficult to me. But I can totally see how only eating meat maybe 6 days out of the week. Obviously, I've been ignoring it for about, over 2 decades now. So I can see how that probably comes off just like how I view veganism. So I appreciate that, because that's I respect veganism so much. So thank you.
Yeah. And Lindsey, I am also just like wondering, like your journey to, to this kind of lifestyle, did it help you when it comes to your advocacy now, which is focused more on, in sustainability and environment? Do you think that was the root of that, or that was just, kind of like came along as as you grew?
So interesting question. I can say that it does tie in slightly. There's so many different aspects though to it. So when I was younger, I wasn't aware of this at the time, but everyone should have a healthy emotional outlet to release. And I felt like I never had one. And then as time continued, my love of outdoors has always remained so strong. And as I grew older, I realized that being outside and within nature was my emotional outlet. It calmed me, it reduced my anxiety, my stress. I just felt connected and grounded. And that was kind of my trigger to try and protect the sanctuary that really kind of protected me. So that was kind of what got the ball rolling. And of course, when I learned that all the animals in the ecosystems were being affected, again, my furry little friends, I want to save
Yeah.
them. So they need a voice because there's no one there to speak for them. And that's really what kind of sparked the passion within me and really set the ball rolling.
Yeah, I like that. Speaking of being the voice, because there was this line that you actually said, and it says that now is the time to be more than your country. We are not just citizens of our nation, we are citizens of the world. And once we start to view one another as such, we will always find success. Miss Earth is justice, Miss Earth is hope, Miss Earth is life. I love that you said this kind of things here.
Honestly, I believe every word that came from my heart. Miss Earth stands for something that honestly is really rare to see, because from the beginning, Miss Earth has had one platform, one mission, and one mission alone, and that was environmental conservation and protection. So to advocate for the climate crisis when, as a whole, not many organizations do that, was just something that further sparked that passion in me in order to really want to work with them and really highlight that, because now, as time has progressed, we're on a deadline in order to solve this crisis. And that's why I stand by every organization that is willing to do something about it.
And, speaking of doing something about it, and you being a voice as well, and you have a platform, I'm sure you have probably uncovered so many sustainable, lessons when you were in this journey. So I'm wondering if you have any tips or hacks on how people can live sustainably, because when people hear that, they think sustainable living is either expensive or kind of hard to maintain. So, I mean, what are your thoughts about this? Any tips or hacks that you can share?
Oh, yes, there are a ton. And honestly, I've looked at so many do-it-yourself projects online. And there was a video, I don't know if you come across it, A few months ago, I was in Tulum, Mexico, and I created a bug hotel with one of my friends. So since I was in a hotel, I was like, okay, my friends, my little critters need a hotel as well. So let's create one. And so I found online steps to follow to create a bug hotel, which is highly encouraged in ecosystems because it gives a place of life and a place of shelter, a place of food for all of the insects to kind of accumulate and just either rest or eat or rejuvenate. So it's just a little hotel of life. And I loved building it. So what I did was I took some bark, branches, leaves. I took some yarn, because yarn is so much better than what you see using like plastic ropes, or
Yeah.
it is like actually a better version as well, and burlap, so it's all natural. So we would take that and wrap up those twigs and leaves. We would put some other vegetation in there just to kind of draw in those little insects, and then we would hang it up on our balcony. And so now we have like a little insect hotel. So there are so many fun crafts that you can make and even enjoy with your family as well. And there are so many little things you can do around the house where you can upcycle. So you can take old t-shirts and kind of make them into a quilt and turn them into a blanket. You can also crochet makeup remover wipes, or
Oh, I love
yes,
that.
or little coasters for your cups. So there's
Uh-huh.
so many different activities that you can do and upcycle and create your own
Yeah.
fabric and material. You don't have to go and buy. You don't have to give into fast fashion. Of course, we hear a lot about using reusable bags, reusable water bottles, and also a lot of people don't know about using beeswax instead of plastic Ziploc bags. So one of my favorite products is also using beeswax. So I can just wrap my food in traditional like beeswax paper and store it in the fridge, and it stays just as fresh. Or I can also wrap my sandwich in it and bring it for me for lunch later. And they're washable, so all you have to do is wash them off, and reusable. So there are so many things that you can even find on the internet that a lot of people don't think about or have even known about. And then whenever you do that, it starts to become fun. So you kind of want to do it and continue it.
Yeah, I like those like different aspects there, like from the bug hotel, and then you did this like the blanket out of an old t-shirt to that. Those are a
Yeah, and
lot.
it's fun because if you
Yeah.
also have some t-shirts, maybe whenever you were a kid, and those are nostalgic for you and they hold a lot of memories, just quilt them up in a blanket and it makes a great souvenir, some memories for you to give to like a family member. So, I mean, there's so many creative things that you can do.
Love those. And also like with your platform right now, I mean, you've won Miss Earth 2020. I'm wondering, like, are there any like community projects or international projects that some of us should watch out for that you are currently doing?
Yes, of course. So what's most up and coming, March is International Women's Month. So
Yeah.
it does take place on March 8th. So
Yeah.
yes, I know. Congrats to us. Woo, keep going. So what we are going to do, we are collaborating with Greenpeace Philippines, and we
Mm,
are going to highlight some of the gender inequality
thank
regarding
goodness.
women when it comes to climate change. So I think that's going to be so interesting, so fun. So what we're going to do is interview some people that have been personally affected and really just share their stories, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm very excited for that one. And of course, there's some mission trips that I'm looking forward to go on in South America and also across the Atlantic. So mission trips are always fun. It's always something that I've held close to my heart. And what's amazing about mission trips, anyone can participate. So all you have to do is volunteer your time, and you can make a difference and an impact in a community that really needs your help. So there's a lot of collaborations that we are going to look forward to moving forward. And I'm so excited to be able to share it with you guys. So those are just two little ones that I can kind of sneaky in on. But
Okay.
honestly, we're having such a great time, and also in the midst of creating an environmental vlog where I have an eco ed series on my Instagram. So I want to kind of bring that to video where I share some environmental facts in easy to understand ways. And we're also doing an interview web series with my elemental court, interviewing people about the climate crisis. I believe it might be weekly. So there's a lot of things in the work, and I'm just so excited to just share them all with you.
That sounds really exciting, especially the one that's about eco ed videos that you're gonna put out
Yes.
there pretty soon. It's pretty exciting, and of course about that gender equality initiative that you guys will be doing pretty soon. So that's very timely. I like that. That's I think that a lot of people can benefit that. Not just people in the Philippines, but other people who will be seeing that once you post that out on your social media
Absolutely.
platforms. And
Absolutely.
Lindsey, I understand as well that you are a climate reality leader, which for those who doesn't know, it's like an organization, but founded by Al Gore, was it? But I just wanted you
Yeah.
to explain a bit about that and what you do about that.
So being a climate reality leader, honestly, it just means, in short, standing for climate justice. And whenever we did our training camps, I will admit it was kind of intimidating because it was like a week long. We had a ton of information. It was even longer than a week. And we had a ton of information to just absorb, a lot of presentations to sit through. Sometimes would go like 3 hours long. So it was just a lot to absorb and to really focus on, because Al Gore was an amazing presenter and he really engaged with his audience despite it being virtual. So it did encourage us to just continue on and push forward and take all this information and turn it into something good. But what I love about climate reality is that after we really came through and graduated, you could say, from the training, we gained access to a toolkit. So all of the presentations that we watched, we now have access to, and it's constantly being updated. So we are being updated with information like the natural disasters that are occurring worldwide, so we can be up to date with that. We have the effects of humans have on the atmosphere. We are also having that information to really provide solutions to the climate crisis, which is really what people want to hear. So we have all of this information and we have the ability to present ourselves, put our own narrative in the mix, and just kind of choose the slides that we are given from our toolkit to fit our narrative and to just give us the confidence to speak articulately and clearly and just really confidently to portray this information to our audience. So I feel so confident as a climate reality leader, having this resource from such credible scientists and news anchors and journalists and just environmental activists. So having all of that at my fingertips is empowering, and it gives me the motivation to share that information with others. So it's a beautiful thing. And I encourage everyone to really look into climate reality if you're passionate about the environment, and really become a climate reality leader as well.
That is just really empowering. Like for you, like hearing your personal experience from it is like it can up your motivation to do more of what you do currently. And for those that, who will be impacted by whatever it is, that the narrative that you'll create out of the resources, they too will be empowered by it. So that sounds really interesting. Yeah. It sounds like you are like, you have this activism focused more on sustainability and protecting environment, and then you're also a professional model, and of course at the same time you were recently crowned Miss Earth 2020. I am wondering, like, how in this year 2021, that's kind of we all have to be cautious, right? How are you juggling that? Like, what are your tips? Like, this is a common question I ask to whoever it is that I'm speaking with, because I'm always all about how do people manage their time and accomplish so much, because I know I can learn from them. So if I may ask you about that.
Oh, absolutely. So when all of this was going on, though, especially the Miss Earth related, me being a climate reality leader and most recently became a WWF ambassador. So having all of this going on during COVID, you might think, and sometimes I do say, okay, well, I mean, work was slow, so I had more time on my hands to accomplish more. However, although that's true, my mentality, though, it was a struggle to accomplish that feat, because during COVID, we've seen an incline in mental health related illnesses because of the stress and anxiety and depression that COVID displayed upon us. So it wasn't easy, is what I'm trying to say. So whenever I was tackling all of this, and yes, work was a little bit slower, but it was hard for me to kind of get my mentality in the right spot, because I was also struggling as everyone else with trying to get this new normal with COVID. So I went through ups and downs when it came to my mental health and really trying to take care of myself. So I feel like the most important throughout everything is to acknowledge your mental health and be able to take that time to respect your body, respect your mind, and listen to it. If you need to take a break, do so. Don't stress yourself out thinking, I need to get this done, I need X, Y, and Z before this time. So whenever you have to listen to your body in order for it to function properly. So acknowledging your mental health, I feel like, is number one in the forefront, because a lot of people kind of hush it down whenever their body's kind of failing, and it leads to a significant burnout. So that's hard to come back from. And also just having a disciplined diet, I found out works really well for me. And there was a moment during quarantine where I was so disciplined with my diet, despite everything going on around me, I felt controlled. I felt in control of my life. I felt just on the right track. I felt mentally, I didn't have a fog. Physically, I felt amazing. I had so much energy, and I was working out 5 to even 6 times a week. I just felt in control, and feeling that control is what is so important, because whenever you don't acknowledge your mental health, that is when you start to lose control. So taking both of those into account really helped me through that time.
I like that. It's kind of, you're always honoring your body and your mental health at the same time. And I really love that, because I always advocate for this as well, that, the type of food that you eat and the way you deal with your mental health, it has to be like a holistic approach, different kind of activities and habits that you have to put together, because if you miss one aspect of your health, the rest of the aspects, like, will be impacted. For example, if you only focus on your physical health and forget about your mental health, it will not make sense.
No, absolutely. Everything is connected. Mind and body is connected. So it's not just one or the other. If you focus on your mind, that's also going to impact your body. But if you focus just on your body, like, you also have to focus on impacting your mind. So it can't be one or the other. It's both, as they're so connected in order to run efficiently and just function.
Yes, yes. And you also mentioned about the brain fog earlier, and I learned that, the type of food really impacts, whether or not you can suffer from that. And I like that, you're confident with the type of diet, that you're strict with it, and you really is, passionate about it, regardless of the situation that we're all in. You really, I'm gonna stick to this diet regardless of the time, and it helps you as you're living about that.
What I find fascinating, so I just recently, a month and a half ago, or maybe almost 2 months ago, started celery juicing in the morning. So I have a cold pressed juicer, and you've always heard of the health benefits when it comes to celery juice. So basically what it is, you drink 16 ounces of celery juice as soon as you wake up on an empty stomach, and do not consume anything else after, up until at least 30 minutes. So celery is an anti-inflammatory, so it has so many benefits when it comes to just your physical and mental health as well. So it reduces inflammation, as I mentioned. It also aids in digestion. It kind of helps with a lot of skin problems as well, if you have eczema or psoriasis or acne. So there are so many benefits when it comes to celery juicing. So I started doing that, and what I find interesting, I did not like the taste of celery juice, like, at all. Like, it was so bad where I had to hold my nose and like just chug the celery juice so I wouldn't taste it. And then as time went on, I now genuinely enjoy the taste of celery juice. So my body adapted, and it just shows how we can adapt and we can have acquired tastes, and it's a real thing. So I just knew celery juice was going to be good for me. So even though I did not like the taste, it was good for my body. So I did it, and I kept up with it. And then eventually I love celery juice, and I look forward to having it. So it's
Now
very
you love it.
Yes, I love the taste of it. It's amazing. I don't even have to hold my nose when it goes down. I just drink it straight. Yeah. So it's amazing how your body can adapt, and just now knowing that it's so good for me and that I love it, it's amazing. It's one of my treats in the morning.
That's awesome. Like, I love that you do that first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. What I do is like the lemon water. You should probably try that too, the celery juicing. I'll keep you posted on what it's like with the taste. I haven't tasted it.
Oh my goodness, please let me know. Honestly, some people really despise the taste, so you have to let me know if you like it. And just a quick little tip, a lot of people find that if you leave the leaves on the celery while you're juicing, it tastes a little bit more bitter. So if you don't like that, take the leaves off and just use the stalk, and it shouldn't taste as bitter. But I love the lemon water as well, so I'm glad that you do that. I need to incorporate that more in my daily life, because I only do it really when I'm out at a restaurant or at a cafe. So I need to bring more of that home with me, for sure, the lemon water, because that has a lot of benefits as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate the tip as well. I'll keep that in mind, and I'll let you know once I kick off my solar juicing journey.
Of course, of course.
And Lindsay, you have shared a ton of wellness habits that you've done, and tips on surrounding about holistic and health, basically. Was there like a specific other wellness is possible kind of hack or tip that you've done that is pretty much helpful for you during the pandemic?
Well, what I really like to focus on when I speak to people is I like to call it the art of observation. So even though we are in a pandemic, we are still maintaining our social distancing. So when you do go out and about, like bring your reusable bag, bring your water bottle, and whenever they see you at the grocery store and you're just stuffing your reusable bag instead of using a plastic bag, not everyone's going to say, "Oh, great idea, let me do it." But the quantity of people that you see statistically, at least one out of those 100 people that you pass are going to want to do the same thing. So that's why I really love just the art of observation, because a lot of people, that's where we even see trends, how trends start. It's just by seeing somebody else do it. So I always like to showcase what I'm doing when I'm out and about, and I take pride in that. Where there's even been a couple times where I forgot my reusable bag and I had to like carry the stuff out of the grocery store, and like sometimes it actually even like all fell down and somebody had to help pick it up. But they were like, just use a bag, and I was like, say no to single-use plastic.
Integrity there.
So like it's something I'm so proud of, and it's something I like to display, because yes, maybe not those 99 people will want to partake, but you're going to at least impact one person. And as long as you have that one impact, we've seen what one voice can do, and that is whenever we can start making a difference.
Very well said. Yeah, that's the ripple effect right there. Even though we're just, there's just one soul seeing that. I mean, that's still one, right? I mean, that could
Absolutely.
influence other people to the rest of their lifetime. So I like that you're really committed into it. That
Absolutely.
moment that you're carrying those stuff just to, you
Oh
know,
my goodness. So I had so much, I was like trying to balance it. It did not work out at all. This older woman had to come like help me. I had like a yogurt cup that fell and it just started like rolling down the road. And I was like, no, my yogurt. So like she ended up helping me. I appreciate it. But yeah, it was embarrassing, but I stood for what I believed in, and I did not get that plastic bag.
yeah, I saw this video. Like, there's this guy like putting all the grocery because no, I'm not gonna buy the plastic bag,
Don't
and
need
he
a
start
bag.
putting it inside, and then
That's
tuck the
too
t-shirt. So he
that is
was like
too
bulky when
funny.
he came out.
See, that is so resourceful. I love him. Honest, he's an innovator. That's the people we need to see.
Yeah. And speaking of, innovation, like I'm just like wondering now, what do you think, like just in a whole level right now that we have this climate problem, right? Was there like a golden nugget that you've learned from the climate reality that is a good innovative way to basically tackle this in a whole level? Like,
What comes to my forefront? So whenever we were in training, I mean, we were learning that global warming is one of the biggest contributors to the warming of our atmosphere, which the number one contributor to global warming was the burning of fossil fuels. So we've come across so many solutions during climate reality, and a lot of them come from solar power and from a lot of new innovative technologies that we have, but we haven't maybe even secured funding for it. So whenever we think of the time that we're living in, we are living in a technologically advanced time, and we do have resources available to us to create these projects in order to create a better life. So for example, we have cloud seeding. And that's whenever we can really just artificially create clouds to kind of shoot them off into the atmosphere to kind of control precipitation. And then we also have direct air capture, which is essentially a vacuum where we can just vacuum the CO2 from our atmosphere. And there are so many innovative,
wow.
yes, and new technology that is so interesting that we have available to us. We just have to have the voice in order to really tell our government, tell our leaders that this is what we're demanding. We're demanding a healthier environment. We're demanding healthier communities just for us as well, and our ecosystems, because this also affects human health, not just animals. So wildlife is an important role. Humanitarian reasons also very important. Everything is connected. We have so much biodiversity and we're losing it at a drastic rate. So we just need to tackle that problem. We have the solutions to tackle it. We just need to hold ourselves accountable and really kind of push for those solutions and tell our leaders, our world leaders, that this is what needs to be done and now.
There you go. I love those innovative solutions. That's that's something that I have no clue that's actually out there. We just need to implement them and use the people's voices to urge the government to, yeah, hey, let's do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like.
Absolutely. It's a shared space, as I mentioned in my quote. We are citizens of the world, not just of our own countries. And so that's whenever we really need to come together and speak for the planet that gave us life, because now it's time to give life back into that planet.
Absolutely. And Lindsey, just to wrap things up here, you have shared a ton about your journey, and I'm loving, the journey that you're on, because it's very impactful. That's the kind of voice that we need out there right now. Uh, with the COVID-19, like, a lot of people are, have to wear a mask now. And I learned recently that masks, like the disposable ones, last at least 400 years in the landfill once you throw it out. So like, I try to lessen the use of that, and I just do double clothing. Like, in other words, one cloth is like two sizes, like
Yeah.
four, so that I feel safer. But now that, besides that, like, is there any other way that people can reduce their carbon footprint, in a COVID-19 era that you can share?
Of course, it's all about holding yourself accountable, because as you mentioned, we've seen masks, videos of masks floating in the ocean, just littered on the sidewalk. So it's just like every other piece of litter, where it's having those effects on our planet and on even on our mental health from the emissions in our landfills that are being filled with all of these items that are not breaking down. So we need to hold ourselves accountable. So when it comes to masks, yes, the double cloth is amazing. I use those as well, and they're reusable. So all you have to do is throw them in the washer. And there was even a study done saying that the double cloth is actually more protective than some of these just single cloth medical masks that you just find everywhere. So it provides more protection when it comes to the distribution of just air coming from your mouth and coming towards your mouth. So there's so many ways that we can just even make it fashionable and fun by using these cloth masks that we can even make ourselves. And there are even a lot of fashion brands that have made these masks for us that we can buy online, and some more support small businesses that come from a sustainable background as well. And even when it comes to latex and plastic gloves, there are so many. Whenever you're out and about, you have gloves that you've used through winter and through rain. So you have gloves that you don't really need that latex and that silicone plastic glove. So you have all of these items, even scarves to wrap around your face. So you have all of these items. You don't have to go out and buy some. This is whenever we show our creativeness and our resourcefulness and kind of show the world what we're capable of, because we're ever adapting, ever evolving. And it's just time to show the world some new creative ways in order to kind of fight this pandemic from a more green standpoint.
I love those creativity, the gloves and the scarf. That's very resourceful there. Those tips I love it. And Lindsey, I really appreciate all the things that you've shared. And do you have any message to your fans here in the Philippines?
Oh my goodness, I love my Filipino fans. Honestly, they've been with me since the very beginning. And honestly, I have so much respect for them. They've supported me just from the get-go, even when I didn't really even believe in myself. So they've always been there. They've always been constant, always reassuring. So my heart honestly goes out to them, and I have so much respect for them. And I can't wait to come and visit you guys. So I am looking forward to that trip, and I just want to be able to connect to you guys, even a little in person, like socially distant, of course, just so I can see you other than through a computer. And so I'm really looking forward to the day when we're able to actually do that. But thank you so much, Mikki. I've had such a good time talking to you. I'm so grateful for these podcasts, because we're really making a difference, and we're really trying to provide insight to other people that really want to make that difference. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for all the insights as well that you've shared. I've learned a lot today. So thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, for listening and for watching. Remember, wellness is possible.